Hello girls, gays, and non-binary babes. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today we are doing my April wrap up. In the month of April, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 books, I believe, somewhere around there. More than I normally read. Do I know why? Not really, but we're gonna talk about them. Got some very exciting books, as you saw from the thumbnail. Can't wait to talk about them, so let's just jump right on into it. So the first book that I read in April was The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. This is an adult dark academia book that follows 6 people who are chosen for this very exclusive kind of project, and it has to do with the Library of Alexandria. Very fascinating, and it's dark academia. There's really dark aspects to it. I don't think I have to explain that to you. I ended up rating this one 4.5 stars, so am I probably gonna round it up to a 5? Maybe when I get some more time to think on it, but I did give it 4.5 stars. The writing was excellent. The characters were so interesting and very separate from each other. Like, they didn't blend together at all. It was really good. My only issue was that, as most dark academia is, it was a bit too complex for me, but it didn't really hinder my ability to enjoy the book. Like, it wasn't really, you don't have to understand the complex physics and whatever in here to like the book, but my brain just doesn't like it, and it just shuts off whenever it sees that stuff. So yeah, that's just my personal take on it, but yeah, a really great book overall, and if you like dark academia, you definitely need to read this one. The next book I read was a nonfiction, and that was The Mothman Prophecies by John A. Keel. This is about the origin of Mothman and where his story comes from, kind of. So I did not rate this one. I don't rate my nonfiction books that I read, just because I feel like at the end of the day, most nonfiction books are either good or bad. So, you know, they all talk about events that happened, and it's either written in a way that is understandable or not. So it's good or bad. There's no real out of 5 stars for it. This one, sorry if you hear noises. I have my window open because it's hot as hell today. But this one was really, really good. It was really fascinating. I was definitely freaked out at some points because it is a true story and it is very eerie. However, not as much Mothman as I was expecting. I am very fascinated by Mothman and by cryptids in particular, so I was expecting more Mothman content, but it did follow mostly like aliens and sightings of Mothman. So it follows the origins, but there's just not a whole lot of origin story to Mothman, if that makes sense. So mostly aliens, but still really good. Okay, the next book I read was an arc. I was absolutely blessed to have gotten this. I was blessed to have gotten literally all the arcs that I read this month. I don't deserve them, but thank you to the publishers for sending them to me, because God bless. Anyway, the next book I read was Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Caw. This was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and I knew very little about it. I just saw the cover and I was like, that's one of my most anticipated. Like, how can you say no? This one follows East Asian folklore, like a mythology kind of thing, and it follows a group of friends, and they have a very complicated dynamic. There's been some drama before the book has started, and we're kind of just thrown right into the mix. 2 friends are getting married, and they want to get married in this abandoned mansion, this haunted mansion, and there are rumors about this mansion, and things kind of go awry when they're staying there. They get there like a week or so before the wedding, and then all the friends are there kind of hanging out before the 2 friends get married. I gave this 5 stars. When I say peak atmospheric content. I mean it. So atmospheric, but like not in like a cheery way, in a very dark, gothic feeling way. The dynamic between the characters was so interesting. I loved learning about all of them and kind of getting glimpses into the background of why they were acting like this. So yeah, I did give it 5 stars. It was fantastic. It comes out in October. I will probably make a review video for it when the book is closer to release day, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Next, we have another novella, and that is True Crime by Samantha Kolesnik. This is a thriller horror book following 2 kids who are abused by their mother, and they kill her and then like flee across the country, killing more people as they go. So this, when I first picked it up and heard about it, I was like, oh, that sounds like fun and interesting. This is very dark. It's very dark. I have a list of trigger warnings. I hope, if I don't, then I will do it after I film this, but I have a list of trigger warnings on my Goodreads for this book, so please check them out. It's very dark, it's very hard to read, but it was so fascinating. I gave this 5 stars. It definitely was very thought-provoking and kind of got your mind going about the circumstances in the book. And I know a lot of people are really interested in getting into the mind of like a serial killer, and while this isn't a nonfiction, it's not a true story, it does give you that glimpse into the mind of a psychopath, I guess, and it's really fascinating, like I said, but definitely hard to read. My Goodreads is linked, or the username is below, so if you do want to read it, check out the trigger warnings. Next, we have a very anticipated release, and that is Rule of Wolves, Why Are There Bugs in My Room by Leigh Bardugo. This is the ever anticipated sequel to King of Scars, and this is a continuation of the Grishaverse. Yeah, so I tweeted about this when I finished it, but literally, That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana. That's what this is. It's a mashup. Like, all your favorite characters from Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows are in here, and it's like the best. Like, it's not even like, I can't even say like they're cameos because like they're in the same like world, but it's just fun to see them pop up all in one book and all together, kind of like how it was to see the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix and see the characters like interacting with each other from different series. I loved it. I gave this one, again, 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I know some people didn't really like it, but I loved it. I loved how it ended. I thought it was a really unique and like something I hadn't thought of but made sense. The ending was, at least, and I really liked it, and I had fun reading it. And I mean, except for one part, but that's spoilers, so we won't go there. But if you've read it, you know. But yeah, really good, really liked it, and I am sad that the Grishaverse is almost gone. I think we have one more Six of Crows book coming, I heard, so I'm not ready to be over it. Next, I read another very highly anticipated arc, and that is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I believe this comes out in June. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is very highly anticipated for a lot of people, me included, because The House in the Cerulean Sea was pretty much a must-read for everybody when it came out last year, and I read it fairly recently and loved it. So I'm so glad I got an arc of Under the Whispering Door. It was incredible. So this one, if you're not aware, follows a man who dies. He lived a very horrible life. He was a horrible person, and he dies, and he's in this kind of in between where he's still like in our physical world, but like nobody can see him except for a couple people who are I can't remember, the ferryman. There's like, he has like a helper too, and then he's the ferryman, this guy at this coffee shop or tea shop, and he helps people to cross over. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. It was so touching and gorgeous, and just like the House in the Cerulean Sea, but a little bit more dark or sad, I guess. The House in the Cerulean Sea was more wholesome, and this is more sad, I guess. I don't know. Also, all the characters were so lovable. Like, you fall in love with all of them individually. They were amazing, and oh, you just want to hold them and hug them, and oh, I just love them. They're just so like 3D and wonderful. I don't think I need to tell you twice, but definitely check it out when it comes out. I'm sure most of you already will be, so I don't think you need to hear it from me. The next book I read was another nonfiction, and that is Helter Skelter by Vincent Bugliosi. I, again, loved this. If you didn't know though, this is about the Manson murders, and I didn't know this going into it, but it's told by the prosecuting attorney who prosecuted the Manson 5. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this 600 pages of court trials? Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'd say more like 400 pages of court trial and stuff like that, but I couldn't put it down. Why couldn't I put this down? Like, court trials are so usually kind of boring, and like, I don't care. There's a lot of legal jargon that I don't understand, but this was written in such a way that I could understand it, which is a feat in and of itself. And it was really fascinating. Like, I was on the edge of my seat even though I knew what happened. And you get glimpses into things that weren't like expressed to the media about the trial and the murders and stuff like that. And listen, there are pictures in here. love a good series of pictures. As you can see here, there you go. Yeah, I am just so fascinated by true crime at the moment, as you can tell. So I really like this one. So next we have an audiobook that I listened to. I'm not gonna lie, I should have known what I was getting myself into with this. But I listened to The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. I have tried to tell myself to stop reading the like New York Times best-selling thrillers because they always disappoint me. I don't ever like how they end, how they're written. They're just not really my favorite. But I was like, this one, it's a sanatorium, Boston. It's a sanatorium. I'm like, and it was on Libby. It was like one of those, I didn't have to wait for it to, like, for the holds to come through. Like, it was like a no hold one. So I was like, I want to listen to an audiobook. I'll try it. I should have known. I should have known. I'm dumb. I gave this 2 stars. It was rough. It was rough. The writing was okay. I will say that this takes place in a sanatorium, but it is not a sanatorium, which disappointed me. I think it would have been great if it was like an actual sanatorium, but it is a sanatorium that has been transformed into this minimalist high-end hotel, and the main character's brother is having his like engagement party there, and she has a very bad relationship with him, but she goes, and she's like previously a cop, which I already was like, red flag, red flag. She's previously a detective. I don't like that in books. That's not my jam. But anyway, red flag number 1 was that. Red flag number 2 should have been that it was not in an actual sanatorium. It was remodeled. But anyway, and it follows like how the history of the sanatorium might be coming back to haunt them. Sounds creepy. Sounds really cool, right? Like I said, the writing was good. The setting was less creepy than I would have wanted. It was not really creepy at all. And the plot twist was literally sexual assault. So yeah, it's gonna be a big old no from me. Don't like that. Don't like people using that as like shock or a plot twist. Not a fan. So 2 stars. Will I finally give up on popular thrillers? Hopefully. I don't see it in my future though. So next, moving on to some better books, we have Beyond the Ruby Veil by Mara Fitzgerald. This is a YA fantasy. It is sapphic, and I picked this one up because I heard that it was like a villainous main character, like an unlikable main character, and I was like, okay, let me check it out, I gave this one 4 stars. We love a villainous main character. Like, it's something you don't see very often, but I really want more of it, especially villainous female main characters. It's sapphic. Did I mention that? I don't know. But it follows a girl in this fantasy world where her city is kind of like ruled by this water Kriya, I think her like is what she's called, and she harvests the blood of dying people to get water for the city. And then the main character like ends up getting this like bruise on her, which means she's about to die, so she's taken to the tower to, you know, be harvested. She's like, fuck this, I don't want that. So she runs away and she discovers something about the city's history and present. I really liked it. I just would have liked a more villainous main character. I don't think she was that bad. Like, she had mostly redeeming qualities. She was just kind of, what's the word, snooty. I think that's my opinion, but we'll see. I don't know if I'll read the second book, which is coming out soon, but definitely if you're interested, I'd say you'd probably like it, because I think it's just YA, like the YA for me. Like, if this was adult, it'd probably be much more villainous, and I think that's the problem. So, but I still did like it. Like, I gave it 4 stars. So next we have an old favorite, and that is The Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davis. I adore this book. I read it for the first time last year, and I adored it. So this follows a group of girls who escape a welcome house, which is basically like a prostitution house. They're all very young, and I think they're all like under the age of 18, and it's set in this world where basically it's like a Wild West almost scenario, but the women aren't like, they don't have many options, especially like poorer people. Like, you have to sell your children to welcome houses to be able to afford food, and that's this world. And it deals a lot with classism and race, I guess, in a way, and like I said, prostitution and drug addiction, and it's got a lot wrapped up in here, and it's very, very good. I recommend it to literally everybody. It was phenomenal. I gave it 5 stars, no surprise there. And on that note, I also, I'm gonna put that down, I also read the sequel, which comes out sometime this year, October-ish, somewhere around there. And that is The Sisters of Reckoning. I think, is that what it's called? Yes, The Sisters of Reckoning. I gave this one 5 stars also. It's a continuation of the series, so I don't want to give too much away. But this one deals more with land rights, and again, classism, and the rich, and all of that good stuff. There's a really great conversation on sexuality and how people deal with it, and the action was wonderful. It was a really phenomenal sequel, and you guys need to stop sleeping on this series. I'm telling you, it's really good. So please check it out. It's wonderful, and I loved both of them. So next we have She's Too Pretty to Burn by Wendy Hurd. This one I have a full kind of video review on, or video vlog, reading vlog review on, where I read this, and another book that I read this month, and I talk more in depth about it in that video. However, I will say I gave this 3.5 stars. Is it a really good YA horror / thriller? Yes, it's very good. However, it's not really like The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is what I was anticipating going into it, which is what it's pitched as. So like my expectations were set up and then they were missed. So I think that's like the reason for the rating. Also kind of weird time jumps, like just a couple that threw me off. But was it really good? Yes, but don't have the expectations that it's gonna be like The Picture of Dorian Gray. So I don't even think I explained what this is about. This is about a girl who hates having her photo taken. She can't stand it. And she meets this girl who's a photographer. And this girl is like, I don't have any film left in my camera. Let me take a picture of you. You're so beautiful. You know, like they're kind of like out on a date kind of. And she takes a picture of her right after they kiss for the first time. And turns out the girl did have film in her camera. She knew she did from the get-go. She just wanted to take a picture of her, and she makes a copy of it. I can't remember what the word is when you go through that whole process. She develops it, I think, and then she posts a picture of it on Instagram, and it goes viral and shit goes down. Very interesting, however, just kind of let me down. The next book that I also read in that vlog was House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This is a book about three sisters who go missing when they are like, when the main character is like 7. And they all go missing for a month. They come back. Nobody knows what happened to them. They don't know what happened to them. And they're different. Like, they've changed. Like, their eyes are all black. Their hair is white. And weird things are happening to them. And this follows 10 years later when the oldest sister once again goes missing and nobody knows where she's gone. So they have to figure out, her and her other sister have to figure out where she went. I adored this. It was so atmospheric. Again, very dark and gritty, but still being beautiful and really gorgeously written. And the plot twist was really like unexpected, but like expected in a way. I don't know how to explain it. If you read it, I feel like you'd probably understand. But it really wasn't much about the plot for me. I was just so like hypnotized by the writing and the imagery. It was so gorgeous and haunting. I loved it. I gave this 5 stars. And if you want to know more of my thoughts, you can check out that vlog. But yeah, this one was really good. Next, we have another sequel, and that is Secrets in the Dark by Darcy Coates. This is the sequel to Voices in the Snow, following a woman who was on her way to her sister's bunker because people think the world is kind of like ending. There's weird shit going down. Cities are going quiet and nobody's heard from them, and anybody who goes in doesn't come out of those cities. So she's going to her sister's bunker, and her car gets like, she gets into an accident on the way there. She's rescued by this stranger, and he takes her to his gothic manor in the woods, and they kind of like ride out this apocalypse. This one, like I said, is a continuation, so I'm going to be hopefully very light on the spoilers. Hopefully none at all. But this follows them leaving the house, and it's like a new scenery, like new setting, so which I liked because I was really hoping that all 4 books would not take place in the same house. That'd be kind of boring. But this one I liked a lot more than the first one. I gave this one 4 stars. The plot was wild. It was wild. It was so fun, and it kept me on the edge of my toes. I think I read the last like 200 pages in one sitting. It was so enthralling. And I will say, I'm not sold on the romance. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are sold on the romance in this one. I'm not. I think it was a little too rushed in the beginning, and that's what's holding me back. I really think that's my problem. It was a little too insta-lovey. So yeah, otherwise it would be a romance I'd be really into, but just the insta-love is not my favorite. So the next book I read was another true crime nonfiction, and that is Devil's Knot by Mara Leverett. Yes, I did get most of my true crime recommendations from Mayana, because I think she hauled a bunch of them last month or something, and I immediately put them on hold from the library. So yeah. Anyway, this is about the West Memphis Three and what happened to them, and it's a very frustrating look into what our justice system actually looks like. I will say it was very refreshing to finish this book and be like, my head felt hot, I was so angry, and then to like kind of Google it and see that they were released in 2010, I think. That was so amazing to hear. Basically the West Memphis Three, it was kind of like a did they do it, did they not do it, nobody really knows. But the way this book is set up, like, the author says she's very like impartial, I think that's the word I'm looking for, but with all the information you get, these three boys are innocent, and the cops and the judge were, I don't know necessarily why they were out to get them. There could have been a lot of reasons. These kids were all poor, they were Satanists, which they wore dark clothing, and the main one, I can't remember his name, but Damien, he was Wiccan, and he said he was Wiccan, and they kind of like had it out for him from the beginning, even though there was evidence pointing to several other people from the get-go. And they, you know, they basically set these boys up to fail. And there's a little bit of also ableism in this because, hi Lily, because one of the boys was mentally disabled. It was just really sad and horrible, but I'm glad that they are released, and if you're interested in the story, this is a really good book, and I highly recommend it. Okay, and the final book that I read in April was The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. This is a classic science fiction, and I'm sure you've all seen the movie. If not, from the picture you know what movie it is. I watched it for the first time last year, I think, and I loved it. I loved the movie. It was so creepy. This was a little underwhelming. So given the content, it was really creepy and scary, and I liked the points that it made. If you didn't know, this is about aliens coming from Mars and taking over the world, trying to take over the world. So I gave this 3 stars. Aliens, yes, love a good alien book. Am I ever going to complain about an alien book? Absolutely not. However, it was just weird to read about it in the time period that it is, because I haven't read any alien books, any dystopian set in this time period. It's like, when was it written? It was written in very late 1890s, so it's weird in that time period. But other than that, like, it was pretty good. It's just that took me out of the story a little bit, and that's kind of disappointing, you know. And I also really love in sci-fi a plot. Listen, am I dumb? Yes. So maybe it's not scientifically plausible, but it seemed like the ending was scientifically plausible. Like, it could, I feel like that makes sense. I love a good plot twist ending that makes sense. Like, the science seems like it might add up. So yeah, this did that. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Was it as good as some other dystopian that I've read? No. So it's at 3 stars for that reason. And that's going to do it for my wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. If you did watch this far, leave me an orange heart in the comments. And yeah, I love you all so much. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!